Tony Stewart just hit that guy, Alan. Tony Stewart just hit that guy. Tony Stewart just hit that guy, Alan. Tony Stewart just hit that guy. Holy shit.
Stewart after he struck and killed a fellow driver on a dirt track in upstate New York last night. Marty Smith will join us for the very latest right after this.
Back with you on SportsCenter, where we continue to follow breaking news. Tony Stewart does plan to race this afternoon at Watkins Glen, a little more than 12 hours or so after an incident at Canandaigua Motorsports Park, about an hour away in upstate New York. Now, according to witnesses at the track, Stewart and Kevin Ward Jr., a 20-year-old driver, bumped cars during a dirt track race last night. Ward spun out, then got out of his car and began walking on the track, and that's where Stewart's car struck Ward. Authorities say Ward was later pronounced dead at a nearby hospital about 11:15 p.m. Eastern Time last night. Now, the Ontario County Sheriff's Department does continue to investigate this morning. Here is that Sheriff, Phil Poverow.
Tony Stewart has cooperated with the investigators. He is believed to be back in Watkins Glen at this time. Mr. Stewart has again fully cooperated with the police officers that are investigating. He was visibly shaken by this incident and has promised his continuing cooperation in this investigation.
What type of investigation is this at this point?
Right now, this is an on-track crash investigation that we will continue. We have, and not to make any inferences that one way or another, but the District Attorney's Office has been notified. When this investigation is completed, we will review it with them, but I do want to caution so that there's no inferences drawn. At this time, this is an ongoing investigation of an on-track crash.
Have you ever had an incident like this happen at this track?
Let me stop for a second. I believe we have. Yeah. Yeah. That was several years ago, as I recall. Yeah. I apologize. I don't remember the details of it.
And just wondering, so any other charges pending at this time, or no?
There are no charges pending at this time. Again, this is right now being investigated as an on-track crash. Investigation, when it's completed, we will sit down with the district attorney and review it. But I want to make it very clear, there are no criminal charges pending at this time. This is an ongoing investigation.
That was the sheriff that we just heard from. He sounds very definitive. This is an on-track investigation by the Ontario County Sheriff's Department. What will happen next as this investigation moves forward?
Well, one of the things they're going to have to do is talk to witnesses, and not just witnesses who observed what happened on the track, but witnesses who may have known each of the individuals, to find out whether or not there was something going on between these two. Had there been statements made? Was there bad blood? Was there anything to believe that would lead someone to believe that what Tony Stewart did was more than just an accident? The facts we know are sort of inconclusive. We know this young man got out of the car and was on a racetrack during a race, and we know what happened to him. But this is a far cry from seeing some kind of charge, which would either be a form of murder in the first or second degree, or manslaughter, voluntary or involuntary. And to prove that, you need, for murder, you got to show premeditation, first degree or second degree. You have to show that perhaps it was in the heat of passion. But nevertheless, we're far from that. And I think that's why the sheriff is couching his statements the way he's saying them, that this is just an on-track investigation with nothing more.
We got a press release from the Office of the Sheriff for the County of Ontario, and there's a piece I want to read to you. He says they're asking individuals who possess amateur video to please make contact with the office so that copies of the video accounts can be obtained for review. Is that just part of the investigation, just so they cover all their bases?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things you have to be very clear of is to say exactly what happened here. Did Stewart appear to go out of his way to hit this young man, or was, this is high-speed movement? Did he have the opportunity to see him, or did he suddenly just appear in front of him? So it's very, very important to be able to understand exactly what happened, the kind of time frame that it happened in, the speed, the quickness. To charge someone for some kind of a crime here, a murder or a homicide or a manslaughter, this is a very serious charge and must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. So the police and the DA are going to be very, very careful in their investigation.
Roger, how much, if at all, are you reading into the fact that the authorities let Tony Stewart essentially leave the area and go down to Watkins Glen so that he may be able to race later this afternoon? Does that indicate any which way that they might be leaning toward this Tony Stewart case?
Well, it clearly shows that they don't believe they have enough evidence now to go ahead and do anything about it. I mean, if they thought that he had intentionally ran this kid over and killed him, and they had evidence to back it up, obviously they wouldn't let him go. So I think what it indicates is that they're doing exactly what they're saying they're doing. They're trying to gather evidence, come to some kind of a conclusion, figure out exactly what happened, and not, to rush to judgment. They certainly don't have any evidence against him now, and because they don't have any evidence, and as the sheriff was very clear to say, he said, look, we're investigating not a murder, not a manslaughter, but an on-track crash, and we want to find out what happened.
That's ESPN legal analyst Roger Cossack with us this morning. Roger, thanks for the insight on SportsCenter.
And Canandaigua is about an hour from Watkins Glen, site of the Sprint Cup race this afternoon, and that is where we find our Marty Smith. Marty, what more can you tell us about Tony Stewart's decision to race this afternoon?
He will race, Jade, at least according to Stewart Haas Racing Vice President of Competition Greg Zippodelli. I spoke with him earlier this morning, and he told me Tony Stewart will be in the number 14 car this afternoon. You can see here his team preparing that car. And a couple weeks ago at Indianapolis, I had occasion to ask Tony Stewart what dirt racing meant to him. Here's what he had to say.
Well, it's what I do. I'm a race car driver, and that's what I've always wanted to do. So, it's not about what it is or where it is. It's just the fact that if I got a night and I can go race, I want to go race. I mean, people like going to dinner and a movie. People want to go on vacations to the beach. I want to go race. It's not near as complicated as everybody thinks it is. It's just that's what my passion is. I want to drive race cars. I'm going to race whenever I can. That's what I do. That's what I've done for 36 years, and it's just fun to do that and have something different.
It is Stewart's passion, as you can see. He makes that abundantly clear, but it is now complicated. It was initially complicated 1 year ago when Stewart broke his leg, broke 2 bones in his right leg, and missed the final 15 races of the 2013 Sprint Cup Series season, starting right here at Watkins Glen. Now you can see, Stewart says, some people like to go to the movies, some people like dinner. I race. Because of that, people question whether he should be doing it. As a Sprint Cup Series owner, he has hundreds of people on his watch that count on him to be in that number 14 car, to be the face of the Sprint Cup Series organization. Asked about it, questioned about it, he said, look, you guys can think whatever you want. I'm not going to stop racing at the grassroots level in sprint cars on dirt. And when he returned this summer, after all of that rehabilitation to his broken leg, the first race back he went to Victory Lane. It'll be interesting to see how this progresses moving forward, Jade, with this latest development.
Yeah, Marty, of course, that conversation that you had with Tony Stewart a couple weeks ago, just one of many that you have had over the course of covering him and covering NASCAR for a number of years now. What insight could you give us into Tony Stewart's decision to race today after an event last night that clearly shook him up, and understandably so?
I don't think it's my place to judge. I think that's on Tony Stewart. If he feels emotionally prepared to go out here and tackle this racetrack, which is a bit demanding mentally, you have to be very precise, and NASCAR is okay with it, then who am I to judge if that's what he wants to do, if he feels like that's what's right for him? Now, in my estimation, NASCAR really doesn't have much say here either, because they have no bearing on the series that Stewart ran last evening when this incident occurred. They're completely separate entities, the Sprint car racing and the Sprint Cup Series racing. So I do expect a statement from NASCAR later this morning. I also expect Stewart to address the media later this morning before the race. So as soon as we hear from him and or NASCAR, we'll let you know what they have to say. All right, Marty Smith with the very latest from Watkins Glen as we continue to follow this breaking story throughout the day on SportsCenter.
Tony Stewart just hit that guy, Alan. Tony Stewart just hit that guy. Tony Stewart just hit that guy, Alan. Tony Stewart just hit that guy. Holy shit.